They were never trying to escape. That's the detail everyone missed. For 3 seasons, we watched the people in this town fight to survive, while the creatures hunted them in the dark. We assumed the monsters were the main threat. We assumed the town was the prison. But what if that's backwards? What if the creatures are not prisoners at all? What if they are workers? Parts of a system. Pieces of something much bigger. Because the evidence keeps pointing to one terrifying possibility. The town is not random. It's manufacturing something. Not buildings. Not symbols. Not visions. Monsters. And if that's true, then every death, every hallucination, every nightmare, every broken person we've seen was never chaos. It was production. A process. A factory. And the scariest part? The factory may still be running.
Right now.
Section 1. The first stage of production. To understand this theory, you have to stop looking at the creatures as hunters and start looking at them as finished products. Look at them closely. They wear human clothes. A milkman. A nurse. A cowboy. A bride. A cheerleader. Not random costumes. Identities. Frozen identities. Almost like snapshots of who they used to be. That matters because when Boyd killed Smiley and Christy cut him open, the body inside was an alien. It was human. Human organs. Human structure. Just dried out. Empty. Like something had hollowed it from the inside. That changes everything. Because it means the creatures are not born monsters. They become monsters. And if they become monsters, there has to be a process. A pipeline. Now think about what this town does to people. It doesn't kill them quickly. It breaks them slowly. Boyd lost Abby. Kenny lost both his parents. Donna watched her sister die. Sarah was pushed into murdering her own brother. Fatima lost her child. Tabitha lost Thomas. Victor lost everyone. This pattern is too consistent to ignore. The town targets emotional weakness first. It isolates. It pressures. It forces impossible choices. And every choice leaves damage. This is the first stage. Psychological hollowing. Before the body changes, the mind has to collapse. Look at Martin. He may be the clearest example. When Boyd found him chained in that dungeon, Martin was alive, but barely. He was trapped between life and death, infected with worms, kept alive by something unnatural. But Martin wasn't a creature. Not yet. He looked like someone in transition, like raw material still being processed. And before he died, he passed that infection into Boyd. My blood is your blood. That line may be more important than we realized. Because in this town, blood is never just blood. It carries infection, memory, transformation, and maybe permission. Think about Smiley's death. When the worms entered him, his human face peeled away. For 1 second, Boyd saw what was underneath. Not a human. Not anymore. Something older. Something rewritten. That means the human body is only a shell. A container. The real monster is what gets put inside. And if that's true, then the town doesn't just break people. It empties them. And then fills them with something else. That's what Fatima's vision showed us. The original creatures were once human. People who sacrificed their children for immortality. A deal. A transaction. They traded humanity for forever. And the result was this. But what if that wasn't a one-time event? What if it became a blueprint? What if the town learned from it? Think about the symbols. The talismans. The bottle trees. The children.
The roots.
Everything here feels like machinery disguised as mythology. Like ancient parts of a machine nobody understands anymore. And every person trapped here enters that machine. Some survive. Some die. But survival might not mean escape. It might just mean progression. Because look at Boyd. He's changing. He carries the worms. He hears things. He sees things. He's connected now. And the creatures treat him differently. They don't rush to kill him. They study him. Test him. Like they know he matters. Like he's moving through the system. And Boyd isn't the only one. Randall survived. But he came back different. Broken. Marked. Almost like the town rejected him halfway through. Like failed production. And that's when the theory gets darker. Because factories don't just make products. they also test them. And what if that's what Season 4 is really about? Not escape, not survival.
Testing.
Finding out who can be turned, who can be remade, who can carry the next stage. Because if the town is building monsters, then the creatures outside the windows every night may only be the final version. And the people inside? They may just be the beginning. The factory doesn't create monsters. It infiltrates. That's the part everyone keeps missing. If the town was only trying to kill people, it would be simple. The creatures would attack fast, wipe everyone out, and the cycle would end. But that never happens. The population stays balanced. Enough people die to keep fear alive. Enough people survive to keep the system running. That's not hunting. That's management. And management means planning. But planning for what? Replacement. Think about how the creatures behave. They don't act like wild predators.
They talk.
They negotiate. They manipulate. They remember names, memories, and weaknesses. When the cowboy creature repeated Boyd's own words back to him, that wasn't just cruelty. That was intelligence. That was data collection. It remembered. And memory is the foundation of infiltration. Because to replace someone, you first have to understand them. This may explain why the creatures smile, why they mimic warmth, why they act familiar. They are practicing humanity. Not perfectly, but enough. Like copies learning the original. And maybe that's what the town has been doing from the beginning. Creating copies. Think about Jasper, Victor's puppet. A carved object that somehow carried awareness.
Christopher talked to it.
It answered. And after that, everyone died. That connection matters. Because Jasper may have been an early version of the same process. A vessel carrying intelligence. A prototype.
A test.
Now connect that to the creatures. Bodies emptied. Consciousness inserted. Identity copied. That's infiltration. Not destruction. Replacement. And suddenly the biggest mystery in from becomes much more terrifying. What if some replacements have already happened? What if not everyone in town is still who they seem? This sounds impossible until you look at Elgin. From the moment he arrived, Elgin felt connected. He recognized things he should know. He saw visions before understanding the town. He felt pulled by something deeper. That doesn't feel random. It feels like programming. Like he was called. Like part of him belonged here before he ever arrived. Then there's Fatima. Her pregnancy changed everything. Because what was growing inside her wasn't normal. It felt unnatural from the start. Pain without explanation. Hunger without reason. Fear without cause. And when Smiley returned through her, the meaning became clear. The creatures don't just reproduce. They reincarnate. That changes the entire system. It means death is temporary. The factory reuses its products. Destroy one body, build another. Transfer the thing inside.
Keep the system alive.
And if Smiley could come back,
who else can?
That question matters because it means the town never loses anything. Not really. It recycles. Bodies. Souls. Memories.
Pain.
Everything gets fed back into the machine. And that machine may need infiltration to expand. Look at how newcomers arrive. Always at the right moment. Always when numbers are low. Always when balance needs restoring. That cannot be coincidence anymore. The road itself is part of the system. A delivery line. Bringing in fresh material. New minds. New bodies. New candidates. The town doesn't trap random people. It selects. And if it selects, it has criteria. What are those criteria? Trauma? Guilt? Loss? Almost every major character carried emotional damage before arriving. Boyd was already burdened. Tabitha was grieving. Jim was fractured. Sarah was unstable. Kenny was dependent. Donna was afraid. Victor was broken long before anyone found him. It's like the town searches for cracks. Because cracks make infiltration easier. A whole mind resists. A damaged mind opens. And once the opening exists, something enters. That may explain the voices, the visions, the dreams. They are not random supernatural events. They are contact. The system reaching inside, preparing the host, changing them slowly, making the impossible feel normal. That's how infiltration works. Not by force, by adaptation. And now in season 4, the survivors are weaker than ever. Boyd is carrying too much. Tabitha has seen too much. Victor remembers too much. Fatima has lost too much. That makes them vulnerable. And vulnerability may be the exact ingredient the factory needs. Because the town doesn't build monsters in darkness. It builds them inside people. Quietly. Patiently. One trauma at a time. And if this theory is true, then season 4 won't be about who dies next. It will be about who changes next. And the worst part? They may not even realize it's happening. If the town is an infiltration factory, then one question matters more than any other. What is the final purpose? Why build monsters at all? Because factories are not built without a goal. They produce for something. And the answer may have been hiding in plain sight. Expansion. Think about the boundaries of the town. They feel controlled. Closed. Like a system with walls. But those walls are weakening. The trees are moving. Victor said that himself. The faraway trees keep changing position. That means the map of this place is unstable. Growing. Shifting.
Adapting.
Almost alive.
That changes the way we see the town.
It may not be a prison. It may be a seed. A living system designed to spread. And monsters are the roots. That's why infiltration matters. You don't spread by destroying everything. You spread by planting pieces of yourself inside, new hosts. And this is where the children become important. The Angui children. For a long time they seemed like victims. But what if they are more than that? What if they're the source code? The first fuel of the system. Fatima's vision showed children being sacrificed in exchange for immortality. That sacrifice may have created the original engine. A ritual so powerful it never stopped. It just kept evolving. The roots, the symbols, the tunnels, the creatures. All of it connected to that first act. One sacrifice creating an endless machine. And machines need energy. That energy may be suffering. Look at how this place feeds on pain. Every vision is tied to grief. Every breakthrough comes through trauma. Tabitha only found deeper truths after losing herself. Boyd only found Martin after extreme suffering. Sarah hears voices through fear. Victor remembers through pain. Pain activates the system. Like fuel. That means emotional destruction isn't just a side effect. It's the power source. And once enough pain builds, transformation begins. That may explain why the creatures look calm, why they smile, why they never rush. They're complete, finished. They don't feel pain anymore. They pass through it. And now they feed the cycle for the next ones. That makes Boyd the center of season 4. Because Boyd has suffered more than anyone. He has lost his wife, watched Tianchen die, carried the worms, entered the dungeon, survived impossible things. And every single event pushed him deeper into the system, like levels of initiation. He may be closer to becoming one of them than anyone realizes. And what if that's why they keep sparing him? Not because they fear him, because they need him. A leader, a sheriff, someone strong enough to survive the full process. Imagine that. The man who has protected everyone becoming the thing that destroys them. That would be the perfect infiltration. Not from outside, from within. But Boyd may not be the only candidate. Victor has survived longer than anyone. That alone makes him suspicious.
How?
Why him? Why was he spared as a child? Maybe because the system needed him alive. Needed memory preserved. Needed a witness. Then there's Ethan. The child who keeps understanding things before adults do. Children have always been central to this mystery. Sacrifice began with children. And it may end with them too. Maybe Ethan is not the next victim. Maybe he's the next key. And that's the terrifying truth. This place isn't trying to trap people forever. It's trying to transform enough of them to move beyond the town. To carry the infection out. To spread into the real world. Because what happens if someone escapes after being fully changed? What if that's the real purpose? Not keeping monsters in. Sending monsters out. And suddenly Tabitha's return becomes much bigger. Because she escaped. Or, at least she thought she did. But what if escape was allowed? What if she carried something back? What if the system wanted a door into the outside world? That changes everything. It means season May 4th, not just expand the mystery. It may expand the infection. And for the first time, the real danger may not be inside the town anymore. It may be outside, already spreading. Because the scariest truth about factories is simple. They never stop. They keep building, keep replacing,
Keep expanding.
and if this town is a factory, then the monsters we see at night may just be the first batch. The real horror is what comes next.